Epaphroditus. It is so good to share with you again some really meaningful advice. And the medium I've chosen to use today is sarcasm. So as you watch this video and you understand what it takes to transition from one culture to the next, you'll follow my journey of transitioning to Thailand through the medium of sarcasm. So please, sit back, enjoy, and don't take notes and don't do anything that I tell you to do. So always make sure that you don't ask any questions, because I'm not let on that you're like a lifelong learner or something like that. People in other cultures are always looking to exploit you and take advantage of you, so it's best to act like you know everything when entering into a new culture. This way, it tells people that you're not approachable, and you probably won't make any friends. All this talk about worldview, tolerance, bearing each other's burdens, I mean, when it comes to like traffic laws, government regulations, culture, and all that kind of stuff, you just got to go in knowing that you're right. I mean, we're all on the same earth, right? I mean, if you dig a hole down to the bottom of Thailand, you're going to end up in like Argentina or Chile. You think the culture's different there? Of course it's not. So when it comes to all these different rules, just go in, you assume you're right, and the people in the culture will then begin to learn that you're right. And that's the best way to make friends, show support and respect for government that allowed you to come in the country. So yeah, don't bother yourself with all this people think differently stuff. It's almost like saying that men and women act and think differently. That's ludicrous. People need to stop wasting their time on these master's classes on communication and like taking language learning. I mean, the way to figure all this out is you just say whatever you're thinking, whatever's on your mind, louder and slower, and people always understand. I mean, when I'm trying to learn Thai, if someone will just say something in Thai like just a little bit louder, a little bit slower, I understand. So that's what I use when I'm speaking English to people. They'll learn your language as long as you just say it louder and say it slower, and they're gonna know the language. Like with my students in class, all you gotta do is just ask the question louder and they'll definitely know the answer. Why do we waste all of our time overthinking these things when you can just yell at people, and that is the way you can communicate how much you care about them, instead of like stepping into their shoes. And I just think it's all about making people feel good and feel included. Just yell at them and say it a little bit slower. Duh. What, me? Sarcastic? Never. So while you're proving that you respect people by saying that you're always right and shouting at people to prove that you really care about them, you also really have to take care of yourself as an individual. And so I'm just going to warn you, when you're transitioning from this culture to this culture, you've got to be really careful that you don't start to form relationships or understand anything about the culture. Because if you start to do that, it may actually make your brain and your body start to think that you've actually transitioned. So the way to avoid this is to do what you have to do in the new culture, but in every way that you can, stay separated. So this means that you would only eat and talk about and talk to people that you talked to before, okay? Because if you do things the wrong way, you could actually transition to a new country and actually act like it. I just warn you against this huge danger. Don't actually transition, but remain connected and 100% to the culture that you left, so you can trick yourself, so you can transition and not actually transition, which is the goal. I'm glad you watched my video. Not like you're super interested in my life and ministry here, because God's plan is so much bigger than one person. Actually, that's definitely true. And not being sarcastic at all, God has been really, really faithful. Thank you so much for following along. Hopefully you can laugh with me at the antics and how I entertain myself as I serve the Lord here in Thailand. God's done amazing things. It's proven through this tube of toothpaste. See how far we've come? Wow, God's been good to us. And as I brush my teeth, as I go through the mundane parts of life and the difficulties of third quarter, I am so thankful to you, Epaphroditus, for your prayers for me. And so if you'd like to continue to follow along, let me lay this out for you. I'm not going to say it in a different language. I'm going to say, subscribe to my channel to understand what is happening in my life in the future. I know everybody understood that, no matter what language you spoke. Because I was loud enough, right? I mean, I said it pretty slow. But seriously, I'd love to have you along.
Till next time.